Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Amazy, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode.
Breaking free from rumination. This is a little bit of an excerpt from a new module that I'm creating for the brothers in the intensive program. So I'm just going to share the draft with you. This is especially for men who feel stuck. Like if you're like stuck, you have so many to-dos that you are mentally paralyzed. And you're only able to accomplish the most rudimentary of tasks before you end up retreating to something that's just going to bring you dopamine. You're going to order food from DoorDash. You're going to get on Instagram. You're going to watch a movie or a series. You just do a little bit of work and then you're like, oh, it's too much. I need to seek dopamine. Or you're even starting your week very motivated. You're going to bed early. You're waking up early. You even hit the gym. You do your morning routine. But then you wonder, man, how's it already Thursday? I just started the week. Nothing of critical importance has been accomplished. But somehow, you've racked up a lot of screen time. You binge listened to 5 motivational podcasts. Brother, that is what you call rumination, okay? It is spinning your wheels in problems instead of looking for solutions. And here's the truth. Rumination is always a dead end. It keeps you trapped, and it makes you feel that there's no way out when in reality, there is. So if you are depressed, particularly if you're a man who's struggling with pornography and you've never worked with a professional, you often feel stuck because you don't take action that is needed towards new possibilities. Now let's talk a little bit about your brain, the brief science behind this. There is a part of your brain called the amygdala, and your amygdala releases neurotransmitters that reinforce habits, not just the good habits, but the destructive ones as well. Your amygdala also floods you with stress hormones whenever you try to break a habit. So this includes the habits of overthinking and rumination and living in the stuck. This stress is actually what keeps you stuck. It's not because you love your addiction. It's because you're avoiding the discomfort of withdrawal. I want you to recognize that every time you step outside of your habitual patterns, you are in new territory. And yes, it is uncomfortable, but I want to remind you that it is temporary. And if you wait it out, that stress will pass. So here's a practical tip for you, okay? Try to make access to all your bad habits as annoying and inconvenient as possible. Put Covenant Eyes on your phone. Use an app called the 1Sec app. The 1Sec app will prevent you from opening any app for at least a second or so. You can set the time, and it will cause you to pause and kind of reflect before you're able to access the app. Don't keep junk food at home. The moment that you end up resisting an urge, this includes a sexual one, your brain is going to start fighting back. It's going to fight back with all these stress chemicals. And what it's doing, it's trying to pull you back into your old patterns. The older you get, the more intense this is. This is why it is critical. If you are in your 30s and you haven't controlled your behavior with pornography, let me tell you what's going to happen in your 40s. In your 40s, you're going to stop giving a fuck. You're just going to accept it because it's just way too much time. It is a very rare man who shows up to end his behavior in his 40s. Those men usually need some sort of outside incident, like their wife finding them, FBI kicking in the door, one of those things. This is when people relapse. You relapse when your stress chemicals try to pull you back into those old habit patterns because you mistake that discomfort for a signal that you need to go back. So you feel uncomfortable while you're pushing yourself through work or while you're pushing yourself to wake up in the morning. And you're like, okay, this means I need to become comfortable. You're not thinking it consciously. So you go seeking some dopamine behavior. Instead, start learning how to lean into it. Start learning how to welcome the discomfort. Embrace the suck to leave the stuck, pushing into the unknown. And just stick it out long enough. And what happens is your brain is actually going to reward you. It rewards you with new healthier habits. One way to break the old conditioning is to observe your intentions, okay? And what I mean is there are these subtle moments when you decide, I'm about to step away from my desk, or I'm about to open a new tab, or I'm about to go on Instagram. The same thing happens when you get on all these apps. You get on there with a good intention, and a few seconds later, you just kind of blank out. You just get caught up in something. Your attention follows your intentions, often so quickly that you don't even notice it. So I want you to start watching this process. And then as you watch it, then you become aware. The moment you become aware, gently, not violently, like, oh, fuck no, we're going to do. Gently redirect your attention towards something that is better for you. This is why awareness needs to be a lifestyle, not just something that you practice when you're meditating. And that is what all the tools in our program promote. I do not believe in programs that do not raise your awareness. It is impossible to have permanent freedom from your out-of-control behavior without a deep level of awareness. That deep level of awareness is also necessary for your continued long-term happiness. Here's a final truth. Obsessing over your end goal, whether it is where you're going to get at the end of your reboot, being free of pornography, your relationship, your business, that is going to sabotage you. It breeds impatience, boredom, and frustration. Instead, I recommend that you fall in love with the process, because that is where real transformation happens.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.